Hello, this is John Jacobson, and this is my mini documentary on Gill Sans. I looked more into it when we were researching Helvetica, and I just thought that the design was very interesting, and the designer was very interesting. He has a very checkered and controversial personal life. I won't get into that too much on this. The designer of Gill Sans was Eric Gill, born Arthur Eric Roten Gill. He lived from 1882 to 1940. Gill Sans is considered in the Humanist sans serif classification, which means that they take from Roman square capitals and they vary in design. Gill Sans itself is based on perfect squares, half squares, circles, and vary in width. Eric Gill studied at Central School of Arts and Crafts in London. There he studied under Edward Johnston, where he had a small part in creating Johnston's iconic typeface, Gill Sans, which was designed for the London Underground in 1913. Gill wasn't satisfied with Johnston Sans. He later said in his essay on typography, "The first notable attempt to work out the norm for plain letters was made by Mr. Edward Johnston when he designed the sans serif letter for the London Underground Railways. Some of these letters are not entirely satisfactory, especially when it is remembered that, for such a purpose, an alphabet should be as near as possible foolproof. As the philosophers would say, nothing should be left to the imagination of the sign writer or enamel plate maker." Gill's first experimentation happened in 1926 while hand painting for a bookshop in Bristol. A monotype advisor named Stanley Morrison noticed his work and commissioned him to create a font family. It would be released in 1928. Gill Sans complemented the Art Deco movement as it moved through Europe in the 1920s and then into the Americas in the 1930s. Originally released as a monotype in 1929, by 1932 there were 36 types that had emerged. Gill Sans had a unique and relatively small X height. Originally it was used for advertising and headlines, but its humanistic appeal led to it being used as body text as well. The Gill Sans family ranges from light to the exaggerated extra bold, because every advertisement has to try and shout down its neighbors, Gill explains in his essay on typography. In 1929 it was used for the London and North Eastern Railway. In 1935, Edward Young used it on Penguin Books' jacket design, which were sold worldwide, putting it on bookshelves everywhere. And by the mid-1900s, it was virtually adopted as the go-to corporate typeface. It's now known as the Helvetica of England, and its evolution continues to this day, with the most recent rendition coming out in 2019 with the Gill Sans Nova, which holds 43 fonts. Here I compare Gill Sans to Diurnal. Diurnal is a font known for its readability at any size. You can see that it belongs to the Humanist sans serif classification. The resemblance to Gill Sans is obvious. Starting with the lowercase a, you can immediately see that Diurnal has a much more generous X height. The aperture or open area of the A has more space and creates a kind of leveled off terminal when compared to the Gill Sans. You'll also notice that the beginning and ending of the stems are cut at a slight angle. The Gill Sans, on the other hand, is squared. A common characteristic of Gill Sans is that it uses a lot of straight edges on its peaks, spurs, ears, etc. The Diurnal's bowl is also more open and loose, and when it connects to the stem, it has a thinner weight. The Gill Sans is more rigid and slightly more dramatic in its weight contrasts. Moving on to the lowercase g, you can see similar characteristics from what I just discussed. The Diurnal's X height is more generous. Its ear is loose and at an angle as compared to the straight cut of the Gill Sans. The bowl and loop of the Diurnal are larger and looser in shape, whereas the Gill Sans bowl and loop look more uniform and measured. The neck of the Diurnal is also looser and slanted compared to the quick neck of the Gill Sans. The X of Gill Sans is unique compared to the rest of the alphabet in the font family. Gill Sans is known for its thinner body width, but the X is different. You can see how much width it takes up compared to the Diurnal's X. It's a very interesting choice. Thank you for watching my mini documentary on Gill Sans. If you would like to reach out to discuss the typography or have any questions, feel free to send that message.